Welcome to Bedtime Whispers, where darkness comes to life and nightmares become reality. He was murdered. He was killed. Why him? Out of 100 people in our village, he was the one who died. Some might say he was responsible for his own death. I'll tell it to you as I saw it myself. He came to our village a few months ago, around the end of October. He was a tractor driver. As long as it was winter, he was clearing the road from 6 in the morning until 6 in the evening sharp. He kept his good old Belarus in perfect condition, inspected and repaired it in time. In general, he kept everything in order. His military past was evident, and iron discipline was evident in his every gesture, word, and decision. He was an unsociable man. He seldom spoke to anybody, and even if he did, it was only about business. True, the only exception was me, when he arrived and bought himself a small, dilapidated house, which had already been restored in a couple of weeks. I myself went to get acquainted with him. During our meetings, he talked about his past. Yes, this guy had been through a lot, and now, in his 45th year, all he wanted was peace. I liked listening to him. Often he would share a meal with me, and I really got attached to him during that time. So 4 months went by. That Saturday, the young man, as usual, came to have fun in the spring. It was already a tradition. They came every year, and they came to us. We were the inhabitants of an ordinary fading village, half women and children. Of the remaining half, 2/3 were old people. You could call it real terror. It was physically impossible to give them a decent response or to appeal to the administrative resources. The precinct officer who was assigned to our station quit long ago, and no one was going to appoint a new one. They'd come and start harassing everyone they could get their hands on, inventing their own games with a kind of cruelty. And, of course, it was violence. No matter how many girls there were in the city, no matter how beautiful they were, no matter how many lovers of Baltica 7 and sunflower seeds from Babanura thought they were, there was a natural beauty in our village. Except that almost everyone's beauty had already been violated by them. No, they didn't rape them in the usual sense, but almost every woman in the village had scars left by them. This time, there were 10 of them, and they came a little earlier than planned. Apparently, they were impatient after the winter. Grandmother spotted them from afar and hurried back to their homes. Panic broke out in the village. Everyone ran to hide their daughters and sons in the hope that they would not be caught. As usual, the first thing they started to do was to mock the animals. Apparently, they liked this warming up. It was business as usual. No one could fight them back. I was sitting next to him when they came in. When he heard the noise outside, he must have guessed who it was, because he had heard stories about them. Grabbing a knife, he shoved it behind his sinus and walked out. He was walking so fast that I could hardly keep up with him. By this time they were walking down the road that led from the animal stall, where the mooing of the surviving cows was sorrowful, to the buildings of the village. He suddenly appeared before them, and they were taken aback. For so many years in a row they had terrorized the village, and now someone stood in their way. It was an insult and a challenge to them. The first one started to approach him at a run. I don't know if it counted as self-defense, but he did what he did. Leaning slightly, he put the knife right into his neck. I watched from a distance and managed to see the assailant fall, choking on his own blood. The others rushed at him, and I knew he didn't stand a chance. I ran away, hiding in the nearest barn, and waited. They never went any further. Apparently, the life they had taken was enough for them. When I arrived at the scene of the massacre, he was lying on the ground, with 4 corpses around him. 1 against 10. He had given his life for their 4. Judging by the bloody footprints that stretched from the site of their encounter in the opposite direction from where they had come from, at least 2 or 3 others were seriously wounded. They were gone. Everyone knew they would be back, but it would be a year. Now they were saturated with violence much faster and had suffered casualties. Yes, it was stupid of him, but he did what he did. Few people could survive a fight with 10 brown bears. They buried him very quickly, for the graves had already been prepared for those victims who were to come after their visit. Only this time, only 1 of the 10 graves came in handy. As for me, what could I do in this position? Sad and lonely, I went back to his house, rubbed my side on the table leg, drank milk from a bowl, jumped on his bed, curled up and fell asleep. Thank you so much for your attention. Subscribe to the channel. See you soon.